All right, as we get ready to record this video, two things. One a statement, one a question. Number one, if you're new to this channel, my name's Craig. You see the Lions gear. We're Lions fans. We don't mix any messages about that. We know we love the Lions, but we love talking about teams that the national media ignores. It feels like the Seattle Seahawks are that team in the NFC West. So we love talking about them. Also love the way the organization is ran, but feel like there's a lot of similarities between the Lions and Seahawks through the years, especially when you go back into the 90s and 2000s. But with all of that being said, I have a question for you. What position is the first position of need when you are looking at the draft this year? What is your biggest position of need? And in case you're wondering, here are your draft picks. What do you want to see? You've got pick 18, you got 2 seconds, 2/3, and a fourth. 2/5. All right. There is a ton of draft capital that is here. There is a ton of draft capital. So I think that makes this pick at number 18 very, very flexible. And there's one very clear answer at a position that is now becoming a premier position in the NFL. And I truly think that this is the answer when it comes to your team. This is the answer when it comes to your team. In a recent mock draft, Daniel Jeremiah has the Seattle Seahawks taking Colston Loveland at the number 18 overall pick. Now, he's in this article on My Northwest, sports.mynorthwest, right? What we're talking about, or Seattle Sports, whatever you want to call it, they're talking about how this is going to leave fans wondering. And that's where I'm going back to the question I asked you at the beginning of this video. What position do you think the Seattle Seahawks have the greatest need? And I think a lot of you probably responded with this position group right in here, the interior offensive line. The interior offensive line. Now, I think that you are good to go on the tackle positions. Solid tackles, more than solid enough. I think the more Oluwatimi plays, the more he's going to settle in. Right now, he's already grading out as the 19th best center in the game based on PFF. That was with 431 snaps. When you had a center injury last year, I made a video during the season talking about how the Seattle Seahawks just won by losing. They lost a player, but they got to start playing Oluwatimi. I got to watch this guy. I'm a big Michigan fan. That is the team that I love, and that is the team that I root for. All right. You got the Hutch jersey back there. I understand. You got the Nico Collins signed jersey back there. I'm a Michigan guy. And so when I look at this, I love, and I was about to make a video about why the Seattle Seahawks really could make a case for needing to draft Colston Loveland. But I'm sitting here talking about the interior offensive line. So I have to be able to make both work. So what I'm going to talk about first is why I think you should draft Colston Loveland. And then I'm going to talk about how you fix that interior offensive line. All right, so let's go for it. I think at number 18 in the draft, Colston Loveland, the tight end position, provides good value in the draft at that point. Colston Loveland, you will not see a RAS score from him. I love showing RAS, and I would love to show how good of an athlete he is. He's phenomenal. He was productive for U of M as a freshman. They don't have productive freshmen. They just don't. And he was arguably our best receiving tight end as a freshman. His sophomore year proved to be even better. 45 catches on 62 targets for 649 yards. That's 14.4 yards per reception. That's a good number for a tight end. And then a lot of people will sit there and they will talk about how, well, last year it wasn't nearly as good. And I'll show you this. Well, there's something to be said about that. Last year, he had 56 catches on 82 targets for 582 yards. First off, he got injured in game 10. The next thing that you need to know about that, the difference between the Michigan quarterback situation in 2023 and 2024 could not have been more vast. You go from first round draft pick, like pick 11, J.J. McCarthy, over to who? Davis Warren, Alex Orji for many games, where there was a game where Michigan beat USC and Alex Orji, I think, only threw the ball 7 times or something like that. It could have been 4. I don't know. But they barely, I don't know if they threw the ball more than once in the whole second half. And he still was putting this production up. Other people are going to say Tyler Warren is the best tight end in this draft class. He's not. Colston Loveland is. He just didn't play in a team that threw it to the tight end all the time. When Michigan needed a play over the last 2 years, when they needed their best playmaker to go out and make a catch, they threw the ball to Colston Loveland. Why do I think this fits with the Seattle Seahawks team? This is a Seattle Seahawks team that lost the 2 receivers that they have known and trusted for years. So now you have Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's going to be great. You have the now oft injured Cooper Kupp, who's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but 18 is kind of a weird spot in the draft to go wide receiver. If you get Colston Loveland, not only can you help on your blocking, but you also have a well-rounded tight end. I understand Noah Fant's ability as a receiving tight end. I get it. But I also don't like when Noah Fant's out there knowing that I'm either going to be hurt in the run game or I'm going to become predictable that I'm going to pass. I want a tight end that you can play every single down. And we've seen in this, I mean, you got Clint Kubiak as your OC. We've seen in this Shanahan system, we've seen tight ends do pretty darn good. All right, George Kittle, things like that. And I think Colston Loveland, if he plays all year, I think you're arguing that he's the top tight end in this class. And if he doesn't get hurt, he's the top tight end. And here's something I want you to remember else about Colston Loveland. He's 20. He's still 20 years old. He was just a junior. He decided to come out anyway, but he is young. So what about the position that I was talking about with interior offensive line? I want you to keep in mind, you own picks 18, 50, 52, 82, 92. Now, let's look at the PFF big board and the PFF rank. The interior offensive linemen, centers and guards. Tyler Booker, 48. On Tankathon, they have you taking Tyler Booker at 18. So you're going to reach for Tyler Booker, and then you're going to get Mason Taylor, a leftover tight end based on what they do. How about you don't reach for Colston Loveland? And then you take your time and you wait for one of your later picks and you get Jared Wilson and Tate Rutledge or Willie Lampkin. I mean, like, there are interior linemen that are good. You could even, if you wanted to, you could even go to the tackles and say, hey, which tackles may end up moving in, right, that we can get. All right, guys like trading back up, using your 2 second rounders to trade up to get a Gray Zabel. All right, these are the kind of guys that it's like, oh, maybe they switch over to guard. Maybe they switch over guard. Donovan Jackson, that could end up being a guard. Then you could take him with those. So the reason I'm saying this is you want to get the best value and best player available just because you're at 18. And when you look at your team and it clearly says, oh, yeah, we need an interior offensive lineman, that doesn't mean you pick that player at 18. You pick the best player available at 18. You can get quality interior linemen all over the draft. You cannot get quality tight ends that are going to be difference makers. I believe there are 2 obvious difference makers at tight end in this draft. If you have the opportunity to get your hands on one, you do it. All right, thanks for watching. Always love talking Seahawks football. See you on the next one.